What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Verdugo podcast. Hope you guys are having an amazing day, been having an amazing week. Today's podcast is going to be on a special topic, which is something that's happened to me recently. And I'm sure you guys probably can tell by the title, but I really want to talk about it because it's something that should be spoken about. Not many men really do talk about this sort of shit, and feel like it'll help a lot of people in the future whenever you guys go through something like this. But in regards to the actual podcast, I am going to have this on iTunes and also on Spotify, so not just on YouTube. So I'm going to branch out so you guys can listen on your way when you're commuting, if you're on the train or something like that, and you don't want to watch the video, you can jump on Spotify, you can jump on iTunes, and also I'm going to have it on SoundCloud as well. I will have every link in the description down below so you guys can check it out if you're watching this on video, but I don't know. So we'll just get that little shameless plug out of the way. Apart from that, I've been going through a lot of things over the past 3 to 4 weeks, probably even pushing 2 months. And I spoke to this certain individual. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not name dropping anyone. I want to be the most respectful and most gentleman about this, if that even makes sense, about this whole situation, because I don't want to disrespect anyone in this podcast at all. I want to be as most upfront and most respectful to any parties that are involved. But in regards to that, if you guys know, oh god, this is good. This is nuts. If you guys know, I got engaged in June. So the end of June of this year, I did get engaged. And I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. Only my friends know, like only my close friends know. No one else really knows, but I really just want to get this off my shoulders and really talk about this certain topic. So, as of like 3 weeks ago, we did break up. So that was a big, massive shock to me. It was probably the hardest thing I've ever had to experience in my life. I will be very and completely 100% honest with you guys. I've never felt so depressed and so low in my life. And when I jumped on YouTube for the first time, this was probably pushing like, my first video was posted maybe 6 weeks ago or something like that, or something along the lines. That's when things were starting to get a little bit iffy between, in my relationship, if that makes sense. Things were a little bit rough, and that's not to say it was all her fault, because it wasn't. That was not the case at all. You know, it takes two to tango. Both people, there's always, if something goes wrong between a relationship, I feel like the first thing you should always do is just really talk about the certain issues that are at hand and something that's bothering you. A friend of mine I've spoken to, and he or she has said to me that whenever something comes up and something's annoying this person, they bring it up straight away and get it out there, because bottling it up for a very long time and having that just, it's hard to explain, but boiling up something that's being on your mind for so long and talking about it in like a couple months time or whatever it is, it can only blow up more and can make the situation a lot worse. So in that sense, I've learned from my mistakes of what's happened in this relationship that I've had. And that's not to say that it was the worst relationship I've ever had. No, that was not the case at all. And I don't know if I said this already. I think I did. I want to be the most respectful person as I can. I don't want to disrespect anyone that's involved. But when it comes to this, I'm sure you guys have heard the term, it takes two to tango. In my case, I feel like with me, I've learned from most of my mistakes. I've moved on. It's not to say like I still think about that certain stuff, because it'd be kind of heartless not to, because, I'll put it out there, it was 8 years of a relationship which I truly loved. It was I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for that relationship that I had. But in that case, I always believe in that something happens, everything happens in life for one reason. It's at the time when I was thinking about it and everything was going on, I did not think about that shit at all. I was like, I'm a fucking mess. I don't know what I'm going to do with my life now. I'm lonely. I don't know what to do. And that's one thing which kind of, if I was to look back, I wouldn't change anything at all. No way. I'd only have 1 or 2 regrets in my life. I have 2 regrets in my life. One of them, I'm sure you guys know, is not seeing Mac Miller when he came to Melbourne. The other one I'm not going to speak about, but the one thing it's not saying I wouldn't change, but if I was to look back at it, I wish I wasn't so dependent on this certain individual. I relied a lot on just doing stuff with this certain person. I relied on everything, and like they basically did everything for me, and that's not the case at all when it comes to a relationship. A relationship should not be two people becoming one. It's two people coming together, still doing your own separate things, and still being able to, respect each other, love each other, everything like that. It should never be one person. And that was probably the only thing that was really going on as of this year, is that I really relied on this person to help me through everything. And one situation which I look back on, and I wish I didn't look at it and didn't see it that way, was when I got diagnosed with my anxiety and my depression. My doctor said to me that your fiance is your crutch, is the person that you look on, she's the one to help you and to help you get on your feet. But this is the thing. A crutch can only be temporary. It's something that you can't rely on for such a long time, because at the end of the day, that crutch might break. Like, from how much weight is being supported every single day, that's going to break one day. It's going to wear down, and eventually it's going to snap, and you're going to be left on 2 feet. And if you're not, fully healed, you're going to fall. And that's kind of what happened in my case. I relied on this person for so long, and I was a train wreck this whole entire year. I will point that out to you guys right now. I was fucked. I was not in the right mindset. I definitely was not in the right headspace. I was very, I'll admit this to you guys, because not everyone's perfect. No one is. I was flawed. I was jealous. I was protective. And looking back at it now, that's not the person I was. And that's something that's not the person I am today. But when it comes to stuff like that, the main thing that I want to speak about today is, how do you get through something as big as this? Because honestly, telling you guys right now, that was the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my life. It was a shock. It's been going on for quite a while, 2.5 months. Just things were a little bit rocky, and at the back of my mind, I started preparing myself. So if you're in this certain situation where you kind of have a bit of a gut feeling that is this person maybe not feeling me anymore? Is this person maybe going to end it with me? I don't know. Maybe start preparing yourself mentally for it. I always believe in hope. Hope is such a good thing, but as Lana Del Rey said, hope can also be a dangerous thing, because being so hopeful can fucking crush you. It can destroy you if things don't go your way and you're being so hopeful about certain stuff in life. So when it comes to that, I was hopeful, but at the same time, in the back of my mind, I started mentally preparing myself. I started, thinking, you know what? This bad thing actually might happen to me. Let me get ready for it. So as the days progressed, started speaking to my psychologist, started seeing someone, and just told him everything that was going on. And that kind of made me mentally prepared for the day that it came. Was it still a shock? Fucking oath, man. It'd be a shock to everyone, especially if you're in a relationship for that long. But in a sense, just, if you have a feeling, just start preparing yourself. And this is the thing, when it's the aftermath. Once everything is done, it's the exchange in it's the exchange in hoodies. It's the, you've got mine, I've got yours. How do we work this out? It's completely up to you as an individual and as a human being to work that out for yourself. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I did it my own way, and other people will do it their own separate ways as well. And the one thing I really want to preach about is just don't disrespect the other party. The only reason you could have to disrespect someone is if they cheated on you or something like that. If they did something like that, oh man, you could go above and beyond. I'd fucking flip my shit. But you should never, ever, if the person's just, hey, I'm just not feeling this anymore, you have to respect that. And it goes both ways. One thing I've got on notes here is, for starters, how about you both make it clear as to why the breakup is happening in the first place, but at the same time, you both have to respect one another for the decision. Looking back at it, I couldn't be more respectful if I tried, because I was the utmost respectful person. And yeah, a lot of people just say it's a bit arrogant to talk yourself up like that, but I genuinely was. I was like, you know what? If that's how you're feeling, I'm not going to change that. Yeah, obviously I would try and, rebuttal what's going on and say, what about this and this and this? But at the end of the day, if you can't change your decision and you're 100% going to go through with it, you as a person should just respect that. And at the end of the day, that's why you were in a relationship in the first place. It was because that person respected you and they generally just always had interest in you. So the one thing that you can always learn from that relationship is being respectful to one another. And for me, one of the things that really just destroys a relationship is being disrespectful to one another. Like the number one thing, which I fucking hate, I hate this with a passion, is your partner talking shit about you to her friends or his friends. Like that is just trash. Like, it's something you should never ever do. But going a little bit side topic. I've got a few things that you could always question yourself whenever this stuff happens. One of the first ones is, what have you actually learned throughout your relationship? Whether it was 6 months, whether it was a year or 2 years or whatever it may be, you should look back and be like, hey, what have I learned during this period? I learned that I can go traveling. I went to Japan 3 times. I learned that, hey, I can do that stuff alone now. I can, travel as much as I want. That was one of them. Another one that I learned was I learned to be respectful to my other partner and to always do stuff for her, but at the same time, she would do the same for me. I feel like when it comes to you guys, it's just about sitting down by yourself and just reminiscing about what's happened, what experience have you had in the past, and what have you learned during that time period. The only difference with us is that, I'll tell you guys right now, we were young when we got together. You could say we were high school sweethearts, and that's the thing when it comes to being adolescents and growing up together. It can go one of two ways. You can either grow up together as adults as one, or you can grow further apart the more you age and the more you become an adult and the more you start going out and all this stuff. That's the risk that you're going to have to take. But another one that you can also look back on is what worked in that relationship and what didn't. The only thing that really didn't work, I'll be honest, as I'll try to be as honest as I can with you guys. The one thing that didn't work with me was that I didn't say what was wrong when something was on my mind. We didn't communicate. And I feel like that was part of the reason why all these things were happening in the first place. Not communicating with one another is it's just a thing that should be done. I hate talking about certain issues that are going on. I hate confrontation. I hate conflict. But I always thought to myself, do stuff that makes you uncomfortable because it'll make you a better man out of that. So, once again, it's up to you as an individual to think back and be like, hey, what worked in my relationship and what didn't? And obviously, if you look back to my previous podcast, titled Broken, that was one of the main things, was that when this relationship's finished, you're broken, but you know your limit. So you know your limits when it comes to certain stuff like this. How do you better become yourself from this? And that ties back again to everything in life happens for one reason only. And I know this is probably really, you probably don't want to hear this if this is happening to you or anything like that, but don't see it as a bad thing. Even though at the time it's going to be the fucking worst thing to ever happen, because yeah, it's bad. It's fucked. I'll tell you that. It's fucked. But it's always for the good. The person that I was with always said to me, when all this stuff was going on, this will be better for the both of us. I look at it at that point in time, the first 3 days, fuck, I was an absolute train wreck. I didn't want to talk to anyone. I sat in my room, sat in this room, my YouTube room, and I just sat here listening to sad music every hour of every day. And I think that's one method that you shouldn't do. It's a hard one, because when it comes to music, I think this is one quote I remember hearing a while ago. It was, when you're in a happy mood, you pay attention to the instrumental, the beats, the vibe, the G up, right? But when you're sad, you pay attention to those lyrics, because those lyrics hit hard. They hit as hard as home, whatever the fuck that term was. I don't know what it is, but the lyrics hit you harder than ever when you're sad, when you're depressed, when you're going through a breakup or something. And I would try to avoid that. Or if you can, it depends, because I'm very, very emotional. I got all of that out when I was listening to certain songs. I'm trying to, like, as much of an upbeat song I Fall Apart is by Post Malone, like, I fucking bawled my eyes out to that song, dude. It was nuts. I'm sitting there in my room, fucking pitch black, 1 a.m. in the morning, and I'm banging to this song, and I'm bawling my eyes out, like, and it's a G-up song, but because the lyrics hit so fucking hard, all your emotions just pour out. And that's one thing that kind of helped me, in the sense was that I can pour my entire emotions, everything that was going on, I can pour out to this one song, and then as soon as the song's finished, it's kind of like a click. It's really up to you as a person whether you want to go through with that. I don't know. A lot of people deal with breakups in a lot of different ways. Like, I've heard people that just stay in the room for like months on end. Like, fuck that, man. I could not ever see myself doing stuff like that. Sitting in my room for months on end, dwelling on, fuck, I fucked up, blah, 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 because you're only making yourself worse. It's the worst thing you can do is to dwell on a situation. Think about, what could I have done differently? What if I had did this? What if I did that? All these questions begin with what if. And you can't change that. There is nothing you can change about the past. The only thing you could change as a person is what the future holds for you. So if you're sitting in your room with months on end just dwelling about certain stuff like this, you gotta fucking stop. It couldn't be more simple than that. You have to fucking stop, because it's only killing you on the inside. And that's one thing I realized after a couple of days. And mind you, I said before at the start of this podcast, kind of bit, was that this stuff was kind of going on for a couple months. So for a couple months, I felt like shit. I felt nervous. I felt like I was scared to say something in case the person would take it the wrong way. I was always just on edge. I was always anxious about what was going on with me and this person. And yeah, probably 2.5 months I felt like that. But this was the thing, like, I'll tell you guys right now, we had officially broken up like 3 weeks ago, but for 2 months we were just always on a break, or we'd always be like, you know what, how about we just go on a break from one another? Like, we're still labeled as together, but if we don't talk to each other, maybe it might click that, fuck, I miss this person and I need them back in my life. In some situations it works, sometimes it doesn't. So it's not everything works for everyone, I'll tell you that right now. But when it came to that, oh, excuse me, I had some subbies, man. Fuck, I had like a foot long and I couldn't even finish it, man. It was just ass, straight ass. Jesus. But going back to it, yeah, just 2 months with the break and not talking, I had that, I wouldn't call it separation anxiety, but I'd always be thinking, what is this person thinking? What are they doing? What are they thinking about me? And one thing I've told this to a lot of people, all my close friends, I tell them this, when it comes to the mindset of thinking, what are they doing, or what are they thinking about me and stuff like this, my psychologist said to me that you're not a mind reader. You're never ever gonna know what the other person is thinking. And eventually, if you keep thinking in the mindset and you try to think, oh, What if they think I'm an asshole? What if they think I'm shit? What if they want to break up with me? All these thoughts that run through your head about this other person eventually become your own thoughts, and then you start thinking like that. And that is probably the worst mindset you could ever have. So in that sense, my number one piece of advice is to never think about what the other person is thinking, what the other person is doing. All the negative mindsets and negative thoughts that were going through my head, and eventually they became my thoughts. And after seeing my psychologist, I'd realized that I'm not a fucking mind reader. I'm never going to know what they're thinking. So when it comes to a situation like that, I always say to people, I'm like, you know what? I don't know, and I don't want to know. Because at the end of the day, the only time you could know is if the other person tells you. And you're never really going to know what they're talking about. And it's not worth throwing energy at that shit. It's not worth it. The number one thing that you guys should do is reach out to your friends. Reach out to every single friend that you have, even friends that you've neglected over the years or over the months that maybe you haven't spoken to because of the relationship, maybe. I don't know. But when it comes to that, maybe reach out to some mates and be like, hey, you want to catch up? You want to, get a coffee or something? I don't know. But just speak to your mates, because hanging around with your close friends and hanging around with a bunch of mates and just having a good time and having a laugh, that is the best form of remedy. Well, for me, it was anyway. One thing which I never did was go out. Like, I hated going to bars. I hated going to clubs. I hated that shit. I'll put that out there, dude. I was like, what's the point of it? Like, it's just a waste of money and time. Like, it's just a shit vibe. Man, was I completely wrong? Like, legit. It was amazing. Like, holy shit, man. Like, it was crazy. It's just a vibe. And like, this is the thing. I don't listen to EDM music. I don't listen to any of those bangers or anything like that. So the club that I went to was it was pretty much a bar. It was a rooftop bar, but it was still like dancing and shit. It was playing like EDM type bangers, and fuck, it did my head in. But at the same time, I was like, you know what? Let's just catch a vibe. Let's just bang out to this stuff and see how we go. And man, I had the time of my life. It was fucking crazy. It was just me. Like, we went for someone's birthday, and there was a bunch of us, and it was me and two other friends. We did rounds with one another. So we're just like, I'll shout this round, you guys shout the next one. We keep going. And that's such a vibe, bro. Like, at one point, we just get whatever. I said to the bartender, I was like, you know what, just get one of this. Boom, that's it. Didn't care how much it was. And this is, now I can relate to when you wake up the day after and you don't want to check your bank account. Because straight out, I was so scared to check. I was like, how much did I fucking spend? Because you never know. And that's why, looking back at it, I know when it comes to, if I go out again, I'm going to spend it just on cheap shit. Vodka raspberries, $10, just fucking G up. And that was probably the loudest clap you guys ever heard. Fuck me dead. But the next, like, all I want is just hip hop, R&B, bangers in a club. That's all I want. And I want to find the perfect club for that in Melbourne. So if you guys have any recommendations, please let me know. But yeah, when it comes to that, my form of remedy was like, my friends kept saying to me, you know what, fuck this. Let's just go out. Let's just get fucking blasted. Let's just get drunk and have a good time. And they were right. That was so right. And they always looked at me as, you don't go out, you're a fucking pussy. That's what all my mates saw me as. And now it's not me. I'm like, let's G up. Like, always, let's just fucking G up and go somewhere. For instance, the Friday that just went past, recording this on a Wednesday, the Friday that just went past, we went to a place called Moondog World. It's a place near my suburb, and it's a factory which actually got turned into the factory got turned inside to like a lagoon, and it's a bar / chill out joint. And it was a vibe, man. It was so good. It was just like, I don't know, just hanging out with the people there, really appreciating everyone and every single individual that was there, having a fucking laugh. And like, I was designated driver. Like, I had, as soon as I got there, had one lager, whatever it is, had there $8. Was like, you know what, I'll just have this and then chill. And man, even though I was dezo, I still had an amazing time. I was having a laugh. It's good. It's really, really good when you can go out and just have a fucking good time, have a laugh, appreciate everyone, and it works. Whether it worked for you, I don't know. That's just the only hard thing, but, you work around it. And at the end of the day, just, I'm not going to say grow some balls and just fucking go, but, like, just, give yourself that chance, because you only, you lose 100% of the shots you don't take. I think that's the line. That's fucking applicable here, man. So that was one thing I did, was definitely just go out a lot more. Every time my mates be like, well, let's go somewhere, boom, I'll be there. I'll drop everything that I'm doing just because if I'm bored, be like, what, I'll go. Because I like people's company. And that's one thing that I hate, which actually will be in another podcast on another channel, Driveway Conversations. I don't know when it's dropping, but I'll let you guys know. I spoke about my one fear. I have a couple fears, but my one fear was being lonely. Imagine just growing up to like 70 or 80 and just fucking dying alone. Like, fuck. Or even just being alone 24/7, not talking to anyone. That shit would suck. Like, I was like that for a while. And now it's just like, I know who my close mates are. I know I can rely on them, and I know I can have a good time with them. So that's definitely one method that really helped me. Another one was going to the gym. Wow. It couldn't be more right to go out to the gym and just let it fucking out. Just chuck your headphones on, whatever music vibes you up, whatever music G's you the fuck up, you go and you just smash a session. Currently at this point in time, I'm still doing my 5x5. It's what works for me. I squat every single session, and dude, oh man, just the 5 sets of 5 squats is so fucking hard. But you just got that motivation, that adrenaline. Sorry, I also have hay fever from this windy session, like windy outside, sorry. And it's so shit. But anyways, yeah, what was my train of thought? Oh yes, the motivation and the fucking, just the adrenaline you get when you walk into the gym. You're like, you know what? Fuck this. I'm done with this. I'm done with everything. I'm done being a shit cunt. I'm done being just a mopey little bitch. I'm going to go and I'm going to just smash out a gym session, and eventually it's going to be the best gym session in your life. And that's what I've been feeling every time I go into the gym. It's just like this fire that's ignited in my body to just smash it. And it's worked. Whether like the eating side of things could definitely be a bit better, but it's also not being able to neglect like going out and not drinking with your mates because you're shredding. Like, that's shit. Like, in this period, I don't know if you guys know, but I think I've been doing this for 7 weeks. I think it's my 8th week dieting, if you could say. It's flexible dieting for me, because I think I started halfway through October-ish. So it's about 6-7 weeks. Currently I'm down about 7 kilos at the moment, I think. And I try to weigh myself every day, but then I try not to, just because I don't want to see it go up and down, because then I just get unmotivated or I get motivated. It's one or the other. But in that terms, I feel with the flexible diet, like every Thursday night, I hang out with my mates. I train on a Thursday, and then after training, we always get KFC. And I feel like with me, the way I flex my work, not my work schedule, but the way I flex my dieting around that is just not eat anything all day and then have that. And I feel like, it's kind of that intermittent fasting kind of thing, but it's still being able to, if I'm going to eat something shit that day, I'll push everything back and eat minimal amounts so I can fit that into my diet. So it's just so I can, not have to be like, nah, fuck KFC, and then I'm sitting there and like there's 10 people eating KFC and I'm not, and I'm just like, what the fuck is this? Like, what am I doing? And then you'll cave in eventually. So for me, it's just a flexible dieting, and that's what's been working for me, is being able to not neglect really just amazing fucking food, but then at the same time, hey, there's got to be days like during the week where, yeah, just still eat pretty clean, if that makes sense. One of the hardest things personally for me, and I know my friends actually been through this too, was that what happens when it's the end of the day, you finish seeing your mates and you're in bed and you're fucking alone, and now you're like, shit, I've got no one. That's when it hits hard. I'll be very honest, I've been there, and you just got to push through it. It's as simple as trying not to think about it. Yeah, it's going to be on your mind. Of course it is. and it's probably going to be the hardest thing you'll ever have to do. But in a sense, just try not to think about it. I always resort to everything happens for a reason. It's for the best, and it always is for the best, most of the time anyway. The one thing that I would say is that I feel like within these couple months and everything that's happened and all this shit that's been going on, I feel like there's a lot of weight just lifted off my shoulders. I can do things for myself, if that makes sense. I don't have to rely on someone to do things for me. I feel like I'm my own person now. Like, I have a friend that's in Perth at the moment and he's begging me to go to Perth, and I've never flown alone, but I'm gonna do it. Like, I don't know when I'm gonna go, Grant. I don't know, mate, but I will go, and I'll go alone. And it's something I've never done before. Like, I've really wanted to go to Japan alone. That is on my bucket list, is to go to Japan alone, do a Kentucky tour. If you don't know what a Kentucky tour is, it's a tour which you can pay, I think is about $5,000-ish, around that range. And you go to Europe or America for a couple weeks, 3 weeks, and you go with a bunch of people that are just fucking randoms, and you got to spend 3 weeks with them. And you meet so many people, you become close with a lot of people, and you have a good time. So that's something that I'm kind of thinking about doing next year. Travel through Europe for 3 weeks on Kentucky, and definitely doing Japan. Like, Japan is on my list to go alone. Because I feel like as an individual, when you go alone somewhere, you're obligated to talk to someone. Like, you're not gonna, if you're kind of like the introvert and you travel alone, yeah, it's gonna be hard, but you're gonna be a bigger person when you come out of it, because I can guarantee you're gonna find someone just to talk to, because they're gonna be alone too. There's a lot of people that travel alone, and a lot of the times you end up finding just a close mate, and then next thing you know, they live in Japan, and then you have a free accommodation because you're so fucking close to them, and you'll do the same for them. It just always works like that. So in a sense, that's something I definitely want to do, is go to Japan alone, just do my own thing, do what I want to do. And it's a hard one, because I know for many people, I'm not gonna say many people, but there are some situations where, like, you've grown up together, you're kind of attached at the hip, and you don't really do things separately. And that was me. I was always just, like, we always did stuff together. We never did things separately. And now that as shit as this stuff has happened, I feel like me now, I can just, like, if I want to focus on my car, I fucking can. Like, if I want to go to Japan for a week, I fucking can. Like, there's no, as bad as it is, this thing, I don't want to be disrespectful. I don't want to be a fucking cunt. That's just straight out. It's not what I want to be. But, like, I don't have to, like, there's not that second thought of being like, oh, fuck, but will this person be upset at me if I go and do this? Do you know what I mean? It's a hard one, and, like, I know people would see it that way eventually in the future, but for me, I don't, like, it's a hard one. It's a sticky situation, and yeah, I'll tell you now, you're gonna be fucking depressed. Like, it's bound to happen. Like, I was the fucking worst, man. I've never stooped so low in my life when, like, all this stuff happened, because, like, it was like, it's 8 years, man. Like, it's 8 years. You're with that person, and then just this year, people just grow apart. You do different things. You start venturing off and do new things, and you meet new people, and at the end of the day, like, if it wasn't meant to happen, it wasn't meant to happen. Like, it's as simple as that. My grandma gave me the fucking, she was like, my grandma, I would do anything for. She is like, I would die for my grandma, because she helped me a lot through this period. She always said to me, Rob, for starters, she has this Argentine accent. She kind of talk like this, like, Robert, you must make sure that you are always happy. Just kind of like, the accent. I'm sure you get it, but she'd always say to me, like, Rob, you deserve to be happy. Like, everyone deserves to be happy. You don't deserve to mope around and just just think about what could have happened, what should have happened, blah, blah, blah. Because what's happened is happened. You can't do anything about it. And I use that advice so much now. Like, shit happens. Like, I can't change that. It is what it is. Like, you can't. I've said this already. I'll repeat myself again. Like, you can't change the past, man. You can't. But you can change the future. You can mold the future to the way you want it to be through the actions that you do in the present time. So, in that sense, I'm so grateful for my grandma. She's currently in Argentina now for like 2.5 months. Fucking left me straight away, mate. Jesus Christ. But yeah, just, you know, speaking to family as well could also be it's a good or a bad thing to speak to the fam, because if you're in a situation where your parents never knew, well then fuck me, you can't tell them shit. But if it's like, you know, if you're kind of close with the fam and you want to talk to them and, you know, you want to get their opinion on stuff, talk to them. You know, they're your family. They're not going to be like, nah, fuck you can deal with it yourself. Nah, then family aren't like that. Well, most, I'm assuming, aren't. But, you know, it's good to just sit down with like a relative or something and just say, hey, can I just get your thoughts on this? This is what's been going on. I really hope this helped. I know it's a random one. It's definitely a random podcast, but I feel like this certain topic not many people ever do talk about. It's a hard one. It's fucking hard. Because, you know, for starters, like, men don't really talk about this shit. Like, I'll be upfront and honest, like, as a man, like, you don't really talk about relationships like this. You don't talk about, fuck, like, why am I feeling like this? I feel fucking weird. And that weirdness might be just utter sadness, and you just don't know it. But I really do hope that this helped. I know walking out of this room today, I'll be like, you know what? I'm happy that I've, you know, projected this, you know, information to you guys about a small thing as a breakup is. Yeah, fucking breakup, whatever. But sometimes it's more than that. Sometimes that person was fucking everything to you. Sometimes you plan to have a future together and now that shit crumbles and then you're like, what the fuck, what do I do now? But the number one thing that you always have to think about is everything happens for a reason. And it's always for a good reason. Yeah. There's not much else to say about this podcast. It's a funky one, man. It's a little bit weird, but I'm happy that I got it out. And I'm happy that if you're sticking around to this long, I'm happy that you listen, guys. I really am appreciative. Just a reminder that this will be on SoundCloud and Spotify and iTunes and everything like that. I'm going to be on all those platforms now, so I'm going to try and upload all my previous ones too. I don't know if I can. I'm going to try, but for the time being, this one will definitely be up there. I'm going to get it out, and then I want to have a schedule too. I don't know which day you guys prefer to have the podcast on. I don't know, so I will have to like get a vote on IG or something. So if you guys want to follow me on Instagram, Verdugo.Vibes, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on YouTube, subscribe to the gang. And then, yeah, if you guys have any questions, ever want to talk about something like this, just DM me. My DMs are always open. I try to reply to everyone that I can. And yeah, I really do hope you guys have an amazing day, an amazing week. And I will see you guys next week on the podcast or on the channel, whatever. Anyways, have a good day. This is so bad. I don't know how to fucking do this. Hope you guys have a good day. Take care. I'm out. Peace.